Pine Island's one of the largest islands in Florida. It's on the southwest coast near Fort Myers and Cape Coral. It's about 17 miles long and 2 miles wide, and it has some great fishing. You know, it's comprised of a variety of smaller communities within the whole of the island. Bokeelia at the north end, St. James City at the south end, Matlacha as you first come onto the island, and Pine Island Center, which is at the middle of the Pine Island mainland. Of all the places, I think St. James City has the most to offer as far as fishing, boating access, livability. It's a really, great little neighborhood. Each of the canals in St. James have a name. The Henley Canal, this one particularly, has some of the best access. From the time I leave the dock here in my boat, I can be fishing in a matter of 10 minutes. We've got some great wildlife around here. You'll see in any given day on the water, you'll see dolphins for sure, you'll see manatees probably, you almost always see bald eagles, ospreys, all manner of great bird life. If you're into birding, this is a hotbed for you, and I'm sure you've probably heard of it. We also have a lot of manatees, more than ever before. Our coastline has managed to avoid a lot of the really heavy development that other coastlines around in Florida have experienced, because Pine Island, unlike the barrier islands, doesn't have a Gulf beach. We're fringed by mangrove around the entire island. Our estuary here supports a ton of different life, from the smallest little nothing, which is where it all kind of starts, right on up the food chain to, the biggest greater hammerhead you've ever seen, 20 plus feet long, that are in here eating tarpon. And if you work back down the line, the tarpon eat, the mullet, there's snook and redfish and triple tail and sea trout and all manner of stuff in this environment here that are all here because we've got a fairly pristine estuary here. Pine Island's a very different experience. The mangroves are a very different environment to experience here. I grew up in Southwest Florida. I lived on Sanabel since I was about 5 years old. We moved there from New York, just outside of the city. And coming and going to Sanabel my whole life, you're always looking across the bay when you go over the causeway, and you always see St. James City. And my whole life, it was always kind of just in the background of my life. And, at a point, we had lived far away from here, and we decided we wanted to come back to Southwest Florida, and I knew I didn't want to live on Sanabel anymore, so I figured, well, let's look someplace else. And we found Pine Island, and we settled in St. James City, and we've loved it ever since. I'm a, full-time licensed fishing guide here in Southwest Florida. If you're ever looking to go fish in this area, I try to take good care of my folks. I try to put them on good fish, but I really try and focus on just making sure people have a good time when they come on the boat with me.
Need a place to stay on Pine Island? Check out Castaway Cottage, a waterfront vacation rental in St. James City, Florida.